friends, I'm trying something different. I'm being spontaneous, and of course, with spontaneity comes all sorts of problems. So I switched my tripods around. So now I am set up on my regular tripod so that we can view horizontally, which will translate over to YouTube a little bit better than the vertical that I normally do with my camera. So thank you for your patience. I have been working on a Kumihimo design today that I am looking forward to showing to you. I'm using the 2020 Fall Winter Pantone colors, all four of them in the design, and I've been braiding them on this Kumihimo disc, and I was doing it for Saturday for YouTube, and I realized I wasn't going to meet my deadline, and so I decided I would hop on to Facebook and at least get the video put together, and that way they can put it onto YouTube next week when I am on vacation. And so I'm being spontaneous, and as you can see, spontaneous isn't always the best thing for me. If you tuned into what just happened on the video before this, but whatever. Life happens. That's part of watching live videos, right? So I'm going to flip my stuff around. I've got my other tripod here. I'm going to flip you into that. Hopefully it's not going to have as many issues as we were just having. And we will go for it. We're going to take a look. And I'm just going to move you in a little bit here. Starting to get dark here in Northern California earlier, so I don't have as much light, but it's still looking pretty good with this nice overhead light that I've got going on. So we've got a great sale going on our website this week. Our website, softflexcompany.com. You can get our Softflex beading wire for 20% off. That's any diameter, color, or brand except for the Extreme. And we've also got our Kumihimo products are 20% off. This is a product that many of us use at Softflex, including Thomas. If you see Thomas around during the live sales and helping to moderate, he is one of our main guys here at Softflex, and he uses Kumihimo. And Kristen uses it, I use it. So there's a bunch of us that really enjoy it. It's very relaxing. It's very easy once you pick up the pattern. You can use lots of different materials on it, including Softflex, but not limited to Softflex. Lots of threads and cords. And it makes a really fun, interesting braid. And in this case, I've been using the 2020 Pantone quad. So I have got the 4 colors from the quad, which are the dark blue lapis, the tanzanite, garnet, and then this beautiful antique brass. And so I've been braiding a long piece because I wanted to do the back of my necklace. And I am going to use this beautiful strand in the front. I'm thinking about adding a few blue beads. Oh, the Kumihimo discs come in 2 sizes. You can get the small or the big. I'm using the big for this project, but this is great if you're traveling. It's a great way to take your Kumihimo with you. And it's okay to have multiple boards because it does take a little while to get going on a project, and if you get excited about something else, it can be kind of difficult. You have to get through this whole project before you can move on to another. So I know when people really get into Kumihimo, they often have more than one board going at a time, kind of like macrame. I see a lot of macrame people doing that as well. So I have some leftover bits and pieces from my Blue Depth speed strand and also from my my bead mix that had all 4 colors. And so I was going to kind of pick through that and see if there are maybe a few pops of blue that I could add into this red strand. And then I'm going to take my Kumihimo and attach it up the back side of the necklace. I already did one side to make sure it would all come together the way I was envisioning, and I will show you how to put this all together during this video. So first and foremost, since we've got our Kumihimo done and out of the way. I'm going to set that kind of up here. I will talk a little bit about the way that you set up this board and the way you take it apart when it's all done. But first I want to work on this bead strand and get the front of my necklace ready to go. So I'm just going to clip this off and get my beads out of there. And then I'm just gonna do a slight bit of rearranging. So I'm kind of looking at this coloring. There's a lot more blue with the tanzanite and the dark blue in the braid. So I wanna bring a little bit of that blue into my design. So I'm just going to grab one of these soft flex spools and kind of take a look at what we've got here. I think this really light gray color would be really pretty to bring in. And then I was looking at these sparkly kind of teal. These match the dark blue lapis color really well. So I think those could be really fun to work in at some point as well. So I'm kind of thinking maybe having those kind of up front here. I do like this really nice dark red, so I want to keep that in somewhere. Just gonna kind of move this out a little bit so we have a little more space. I also love the golds that are in here. They're so pretty. So I'm thinking we'll go with that. And then I don't know if I want the red right next to it. Maybe we'll do a gold piece between the blue and the red, just to break it up a little bit. We've got these bigger red pieces. I'm not sure. I may use those. Maybe a red and a blue, and then one of the big reds. I'm just bringing a little bit of blue in because I think that'll tie into the necklace just a little bit better, and it'll feel really, really nice with it all together. And I'm just going to kind of move these beads out ever so slightly, grabbing the things that I think really are what I want. That pop of red again for sure. I love that color. Maybe some of these lighter blues up front would be good. And I like some of the bead caps that they have in here. I don't know if I have a big enough bead that they make sense. Maybe on this little pearl, if there's enough of those. I'll put one on each side of the pearl to add in just a little bit more color. I've also got this gold ring I can do. Let me add that in. So yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I've got a lot of the garnet and the dark blue, a little bit of the tanzanite, and then I'm going to use, I think, the antique brass colored beading wire to string it. So I've got my length is about that. I don't need to pull too much wire out. It's a pretty short length. The way that I'm planning on hooking this is I've already got a TierraCast hook here, and I'm planning on attaching, or I have the eye, I'm sorry, and I'm planning on attaching the hook to my beaded part. And so my bead should be heavy enough that they'll just hang really nicely. And then in fact, if I wanted to, I could change up the front of it by using other bead strands and attaching a hook on either end that can also attach easily. So that could be kind of fun. You know, I always like the opportunity to make a change is like my favorite thing. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some crimps. I'm using just a single strand for the bead stringing. And so, oh, actually, let me string my beads. Let me string my beads first. So I'm gonna just string the order that I already have kind of set up here. We don't very often put our Softflex beading wire all on sale. So it is a very nice opportunity to stock up for the upcoming holidays. Again, it's every color, every diameter, every brand except for the Extreme. And so it's a lot of different options, and it includes the quad that I am using today, which has all these fun, very on-trend colors. In fact, I get a Stitch Fix box. I don't know if you guys know what Stitch Fix is, but it's basically like a stylist picks out clothing and they mail it to me every 3 to 6 months, depending on when I want it. And this month, I'm wearing it today, they sent me this military green sweater that has a 3/4 sleeve, and I am in love with it. It's so soft and it's so comfy. And look at how well it matches the beads. I was like, oh, we're so on trend at Softflex. I cannot even believe it. It's so good. Okay, so here's my strung beads. So this is a mixture again of the brick red bead strand and then a few blue beads from my bead mix. The bead mix is sold out, but I'm sure if you get the brick red bead strand and you're trying to recreate this exact same design, if you don't have the bead mix, you can find a few dark blue beads or tanzanite colored beads to kind of pull that blue in with it. It is a pretty green. I don't wear a lot of green. Kristen wears a ton of green. I'm sure she's waiting for her name to pop up. Kristen wears a ton of green. It's kind of a running joke, you know, and she loves green. And I don't use green that often. So, but I was really surprised how much I really, really love this sweater. So much so, I went on the website and was like, what other colors does this come in? I mean, really, I really like it a lot. So perfect. So here we've got a 2x2 millimeter gold-filled crimp tube, a Softflex crimp tube. I've strung it onto my medium antique brass wire that comes in the quad, strung it into my little hook that is from TierraCast that you can find on our website, and then strung it back in to the crimp tube again. And now I'm just going to crimp with our regular crimping pliers. So there's two little sections here. There's one in the back with the tooth, and then there's one in the front that's a rounder. I'm going to use that little tooth first to create what looks like a little divot in the crimp tube. I actually got a little over the edge, so hopefully it doesn't cause me a problem, but you get your little divot in your crimp tube and then switch it into the rounder on its side and then compress it in again. And I'm using these ones today. You see me use magical crimpers pretty often rather than these ones. I'm using these ones today because I'm just going to put a crimp cover over it because I kind of want that gold bead showing, and I think it'll look really nice. One of my red beads rolled away. Oh, did I miss a red bead? Oh man. All right, well, I'm gonna fix it. Thank you for telling me. I caught that just in time. I'm having one of those days because I don't normally do a video today. I feel like I'm a little off kilter, but I was thinking about it. I had decided I would do it tomorrow. I was thinking about it. I have everything set up and like ready to go. It just seems so silly when I have such short time getting ready for my vacation next week to set everything up, and I'm in beading mode. So it's like, okay, I gotta just jump on here and see how everyone's doing and share this idea because I am in love with this idea and I think it's going to turn out so pretty. And I don't want to end up not getting it out there because I got too busy on a Friday right before a week's vacation, right? So let's get it done. Okay, thank you for pointing out my bead rolled away. I think I now have my pattern fixed. That is the joy of live beading. I get help from all of you if I do something wrong. I get some assistance, which is helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and crimp again. So I've got my little divot in my crimp tube, and then I'll flip it on its side, and I will compress in those two edges. So you can see where that divot is now kind of horizontal with the edge there, and then I compress in the two sides. And I'm just going to go around it a few times, making sure it's all tightened down into the nylon coating of the wire. So I used this little hole with the tooth first in the back and the rounder second. And then I can come in with my cutters and just slide that right up next to your crimp and trim off your extra wire. And then we'll do our crimp cover. So there's a couple ways of doing crimp covers. This is what a crimp cover looks like if you're not familiar. It's like a little open-faced bead. I do it multiple ways. Sometimes I like to take my little rounder with my crimping pliers and hold it. I know that's a fan favorite. People like doing it that way. Sometimes I just do my chain nose pliers. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I like to just take it with my fingers and slip it onto that crimp so that I've got it on there and in place. And then I just come in with those chain nose pliers and tuck it. So lots of different ways of doing it. It's the most hard to do it on camera because crimp covers are so tricky, but basically you're just closing it down with your pliers, whichever one you choose to use. And then I like to come in and I tuck one side, and then I often will kind of tuck the other side over. And that just ensures that it doesn't slip or slide over that crimp. And you always kind of want to tug on it to make sure it's not slipping or sliding. Are you seeing a lot of green love, Kristen? Maybe I should have used the green today. I've been wanting to use this red strand. I've been really into this red strand. So I was like, I've got to get a project in before it sells out and I don't get to use it anymore. I've got to slip a project in here. Okay, so I'm gonna leave just like a couple inches here on the end. And I'm gonna attach a hook on the other side too. And that's what I'm going to be able to then hook into my Kumihimo up the back end, which we will talk about next. So let's get this together first. I've got another 2x2mm soft flex crimp tube. These are fantastic crimp tubes. They're solid tubes and they are really strong, very durable. And I back my wire into it. And here I want to kind of hold this up so that it's draping, and that will ensure that I leave enough space. If I crimp it while it's straight, I'm going to get it right up against that bead, which in theory would be nice if that's how we wore it, but we don't wear it like that. We wear it like this. So we want to make sure there's enough wiggle room that our beads can still kind of move around and it can feel really comfortable and it's feeling great. So I'm going to leave it right where it's at, and I'm going to come in with my crimping pliers. Now you can really work hard and get these wires side by side inside the crimp tube. That's totally fine, and it actually gives you a nice straight connection, but it's not always necessary, and it won't keep you from having a solid design if they aren't in the channels of the crimp tube. As long as you're using a good quality crimp, good quality beading wire that has a nice firm nylon coating, and good crimping pliers, you should be all set on having a really nice solid hold on that, that wire. So I've got one more crimp cover to do here. These 3mm crimp covers are so pretty. Gold is just so luxurious right now because it's so expensive. So using anything even gold filled is really kind of a luxury. So you can see how that crimp cover just sits right over the top of the crimp. And then I'm going to come in with my chain nose and I'm just going to press that together. One thing you want to really try to do is make sure that the crimp cover isn't twisting. If it's twisting, then you want to ever so slowly adjust to make sure that it doesn't twist so much that it will slide off of that crimp, which can happen. So now I've got my two ends, so let's work on the back of this now. I'm going to move some of these things out of the way so we can see what I got here a little better. So I've been braiding this beautiful piece, this Kumihimo braid with the Softflex beading wire. You can use, like I said earlier, all sorts of different kinds of materials on the Kumihimo, and you can intermix. So if you wanted to use Softflex because it's going to give you just kind of a, it's going to give you a lot of body in your design, you could mix it in with some thread. I've also made things with craft wire on the Kumihimo board. I was hoping to do that this week, but it ended up in the Too Tough basket. But I will do a YouTube video with craft wire and a Kumihimo at some point. So basically, to get this started, I ended up cutting 5 feet. So I have a ton of extra. So I'm thinking it's probably closer to 3 feet of wire that you'll need. And I needed 8 strands. And so I did 2 in each of the colors. So I've got my antique brass, I've got my dark blue lapis, my tanzanite, and my garnet. So I cut 2 5-foot strands in each of these, but I think you could get by with 3 feet. Maybe 3.5 feet at the most. So you have plenty in your quad to be able to make this design. And that's why I started with the 2 5-foot strands, because I wanted to make sure you could do it under 10 feet to be sure. And basically what you're doing with those strands is taking them and lining them up inside of your bead stopper. And then you center your bead stopper here at the bottom where my braid is coming out. And we have tons of videos on starting the Kumihimo disc. You can go to our YouTube station. There's a whole playlist of like 14 videos. So I'm not going to go over it in great detail, but I am going to show you how to take it off and attach it to my necklace today. But basically you start at the black marks. You've got 2 strands going up. I used the same color going up in each direction, and what that did was it gave me 2 wires right next to each other in my braid. And so you'll see those little segments of 2 throughout my braid. I assume if you were to do opposites, an antique brass here and then an antique brass here, you would never have 2 of the same color together in your braid. It would always be changing it out. So that's something to consider as well. And yeah, so you do it, 2 coming up here around 32, 2 around 8, 2 around 16, 2 around 24. And if you want to add a weight, you totally can. I tend to try to use the same tension regularly. Some people really like the weight that helps them get the right tension. And I can see where I left off because this wire is going up and around. And so where I left off was here, and then I'm going to revolve my disc. I'm going to take my bottom wire to the top on the left. So bottom left, top right, bottom right. And I pull those pretty tight to keep my tension, and then I keep going. So bottom left, top right, bottom right. And you just kind of keep going that way until you've got this long braid like I have here. And then when you're ready, you can pop it off of here. I'm going to trim my wires. Like I said, I used a lot of wire because I was feeling concerned about telling you to use the quad if there wasn't enough wire in a quad by itself. And so one of my tests in doing this was to make sure that it was going to work the way I had assumed it would. I didn't think it would take much more, but you never know. Sometimes you get into doing something. I also didn't know how long of a necklace I was going to make, so there's that too. But I'm just going to trim it off to the edge here so I don't have quite so much wire to work with, and that'll make life a lot easier. And then I'm going to get out a 3x3mm crimp tube. I only have these in silver. And so because I didn't want the silver to show, because I'm doing a gold design, I'm going to use a cone on the end and then do a second crimp with just one wire past the cone. So this is how that will work. I've got my 3x3mm crimp tube. I've got my Mighty crimping pliers. So before I used the regular pair of crimping pliers, and I want you to look at these heads. The Mighty has a much bigger tooth and rounder for a 3x3 crimp, and that's what I'm going to use for this particular part. I am going to just pull these wires off of here as carefully as possible, kind of pinching to hold my braid together. Slide it out of my Kumihimo disc. And then I can go ahead, and you could always use a bead stopper if it makes you nervous to hold on to all these wires. Bead stoppers are always the answer for helping out in those moments. It's like a third hand. It can really help, but if you feel like you can get all 8 strands through your crimp, no problem, without having to use the bead stopper, you can do it this way too. And then I'm just gonna tug that crimp all the way down to my braid, and then that'll kind of hold everything in place. Now I can get out my Mighty crimpers, and just like with that little one, I'm going to use the tooth first to get my little divot in my crimp tube, and then I'm going to switch it into the rounder. So it's the same exact maneuver that you saw me doing earlier with the regular crimping pliers. And I'm just going around and around, just kind of tightening it down into the nylon coating of the wire. And then all I need to do now is trim off everything but a strand of the antique brass. So I'm going to go through one by one and trim off all 8 strands. And again, if you want to learn more about doing Kumihimo with Softflex, we have a ton of videos, and maybe one of my coworkers can even post a link to the playlist if they haven't already, and to our YouTube channel. We have a ton of videos doing this same style in lots of different ways. For example, there are videos where we are doing Kumihimo, but we're doing it with beads. And so in this case, I did it sort of backwards. I have the Kumihimo up front, and then I have a silver silk chain up the back. We have videos like this on our YouTube channel. This time I'm doing the Kumihimo in the back, and I've got the beads up front. So a little switcheroo, but lots of different variations. And definitely we have the how to get started instructions there. Okay, so now I've got my crimp. I've got just one wire coming out of it, so I can find my cone, which I know I just showed to you. get my cone and I can string that over the top of that crimp. Oh yeah, we've got a great Kumihimo blog too. If this is something you're interested in learning, that would be a fantastic place to get started. And I'm going to string my crimp tube. I've got my other part of my TierraCast clasp, so I can string through that and then back into my tube again. And again, I'm kind of fiddling with it because I want it to be close to that cone, but I also want to leave a little bit of space for it to kind of move around. And in this case, I kind of want to look at the other side and match it up, generally speaking, so that those two loops are similar because it has a matching side. I'm going to take my regular crimping pliers and crimp this end. When I'm all done with this design, I will try to take a picture probably tomorrow when there's a little better light, and I will get it up on Instagram and in our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, you should go join as soon as possible. It's super fun. We have a lot of very inspiring designers there posting daily. They inspire me regularly. Now I'm just going to cut off my little extra wire. And again, all Softflex beading wire on the website is 20% off, and our Kumihimo products as well. So this is a good week to get over to the website, softflexcompany.com, and pick up some colors of beading wire and try them out. Maybe try a different diameter that you don't normally try, or a different brand like Soft Touch or Most Flexible. There's a lot of options. Okay, so I've got my crimp cover over the top of my crimp, and now I'm just going to kind of gently close it down and trying very hard to make sure it doesn't twist or turn. And I'm just going to come in on that tip there, try to get it tucked just a little bit so that I feel confident it's not going to slide around. And then I've got the back portion of my necklace, and I can hook on my beads. If this is way too wide open for you, the bead should give it some weight, so it's going to have some natural gravity, but you can also close these hooks up just slightly with your chain nose pliers if you want to feel a little bit more confident. But the beads are fairly decently weighted, and so they should pull down on it and give you a really nice hold. So there we go. We've got our beautiful bead strand, and then we've got our Kumihimo soft flex up the back end. And it's actually probably big enough you could even just forego a clasp, and you could just attach right to it if you wanted to and pull it over your head with no clasp at all. But I wasn't sure what size I was going to make it, so I ended up deciding to do clasps on it. You can find all of this, all the materials I used today on our website, which is softflexcompany.com. Thank you so much for dealing with my issues at the beginning of the show. I normally do not shoot horizontal, and so it's a big change for me, and I am normally not on camera on Thursdays, and so you can see my new sweater, but no makeup, no jewelry, because I wasn't planning on coming on here, but it worked out just great. And look at how fun and comfortable that is. And I've actually used every color but the military olive in this, so it's kind of funny. It works really well with the sweater because the quad colors all work really well together. So I will be going on vacation next week for Thanksgiving to spend time with my family. So on Saturday, you will find the video from Wednesday posted on the YouTube channel. And then early next week, this video will go up as well. You will not see me again before Thanksgiving, and I will not see you again except for maybe chatting online. So I want to wish all of you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. I know it's been a tough year. This is a great time to just stay home with your immediate family and have the board games out and wear your pajamas all day and just really try to relax and enjoy, be present in that moment with those most special people in your house with you. And if there isn't, you don't live with a family, you are by yourself, I hope that you will be able to Zoom with your family. We have found that to be an amazing way to connect with our family and friends who we can't see right now. And I hope that you're able to do a Zoom Thanksgiving party of some kind. And if you haven't been invited to one, I challenge you to think of who in your life might be willing to get on Zoom with you or FaceTime and just spend a little bit of time with them, reaching out and connecting, maybe go for a walk, get outside if you can. Yeah, so I just hope you guys have a great holiday. Be safe, be well, and really take care of yourselves. And definitely, if you get a chance, do some beading over the holiday week, because I know it will just warm your heart and make you feel better. It brings a lot of joy to our lives. And Kristen and I are going to try to work on a joyful beading schedule if we can get to it by tomorrow for next week. So hopefully it'll give you a little bit of a boost to get in there and get your beads out while you're on holiday any time next week, whether it's just Thanksgiving Day or you get the whole week off or taking the whole week off. So thank you for being here with me today and all year long. I enjoy spending time with you guys. And please do go check out that great deal that we have on our beading wire on the website, 20% off any beading wire except for the extreme, and then also 20% off on our Kumihimo products. So it's a great time to try a new skill. If you haven't done Kumihimo before, we've got a ton of videos. And if not Kumihimo, maybe go to the YouTube channel and look over our playlist. Maybe there's another new skill that you want to learn this coming week. And we can certainly do our best to get our tools and wire out to you as soon as possible. And just get an order in when you can at softluxcompany.com. Thanks, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you after the holiday on Cyber Monday, November 30th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. I will be back for our biggest live sale of the year. Bye, everybody.